It's hard to change, isn't it? But why? We're going to talk about this today in this video. So I've been on this path for about 6 years now, and lots has changed, that's for sure. Lots of my conditioning has dropped away. But some things are so deeply rooted inside of our system that it's very, very hard to change them. Now, we recognise that for the first 6 months of the journey, we can create incredible changes incredibly fast. And if you're interested in a 6-month immersion with me, one-to-one, we'll teach you everything that you'll need to know about the yogic philosophy, why things might not be working out for you, how your conditioning is the biggest blessing for you, and also if you're looking to uncover your purpose, we can have a look into these things too. It's a one-to-one coaching program, and you can apply for that down below. The application form is free. Of course, the coaching itself isn't free, but we must invest in ourselves, isn't it? Both physically with our energy and our action, but also monetarily if we ever want to learn something. Let's continue with the video. Why is it so hard to change? Well, we have years of conditioning to work through. So let's say you're new to this channel and you don't know what conditioning is. Well, conditioning is the teaching that's imparted into us from our parents and our peers, meaning it's the way we grow up. For example, our parents might teach us this thing. Money doesn't grow on trees, Jamie. No, you can't have £10 to go into town with your friends. We've all heard this before, translate your currency there, dollars, yen, euro. And so what does this imply? Well, it implies that we have a lack of money as a family and that money is limited. Now, whether that's true or not doesn't really matter, because it then becomes true for us. It then becomes our conditioning. It becomes our software, so to speak, and we act and live from that. And so we have to try and uproot our conditioning, and the way we do that is through the practice of yoga. And down below you're allowed to access, you're allowed to? Yes, of course you are. You're free to access a free breathing practice, a free introduction to Hatha Yoga, and a free community to have a little bit of a support network down below, should you wish. But we have to uproot years, sometimes even maybe generations of conditioning. It's true, isn't it? Karma is generational, meaning if we look at our grandparents or our parents, that stuff gets passed down. We are acting as little versions of them. Yes, all right, we're a little bit better, a little bit more evolved, because whenever we're taught by our parents some of these things, we go, oh, that's harsh, I'm never going to teach my children that. But we just do it in a different way, a less harsh way. And so generations of abuse and karma is imprinted into us, into the cellular structure of who we are. And so we have to begin to uproot that. And that is not easy, is it? Because first we have to become aware that I have conditioning, and it comes up in the form of ego, identity, isn't it? I have a lack of money. Why will I never be able to achieve monetary abundance? And things like this. We recognize how this plays out in the form of ego or identity in the mind. So that's why it's so hard to change, because we have generations, lifetimes of karma to deal with. Now, don't take that as a bad thing. That's a great thing, because your conditioning and your karma is the thing that's here to wake you up, to shake you up. Life knows you, and it knows that this stuff will penetrate you so deeply and will break you so deeply that the only choice you have is to open up into life. Of course, doing some sadhana, your daily spiritual practice, makes that a hell of a lot easier to deal with. And then we can be sprightly and joyous with it, because we know that our conditioning is where our value is. Okay. The second reason why it's so hard to change is because we fear change. Isn't it true? We fear uncertainty. We fear the unknown. And we don't know what this change might mean for me. For example, I used to think that because I was on the spiritual journey, oh gosh, I don't want to go too far into this, because if I do, I'll become a Buddha and I'll never get a girlfriend again. I'll never have sex again. That was real for me, you know, in that moment. And that these things, we can't just bypass them. They're true for us in that moment, isn't it? They're not completely universally true. And let me tell you from personal experience, it's not true at all. In fact, it's completely false and completely the opposite in my experience of life now. But we define change negatively. We're scared of that change, aren't we? There's a yogic term, Sage Patanjali talked about it. He's a great sage of olden times, and he said, he coined this term, abhinivesa. Abhinivesa. And this is fundamentally the fear of death, but it also can be extended to the fear of change or the fear of uncertainty. And we recognise this inside of ourselves, isn't it? So we do everything that we can to hold on and cling to this version of life that we say is me. But of course we have to let go of that grip of life a little bit. And then in that moment we become eternal. Yes, this body is going to die. But by letting go of the grip of life, we can perhaps open up with gratitude to the miraculousness that is life in the first place. And from my perspective, this is complete conjecture, but we'll dive into it anyway. What is death if not just a thought? Yes, we see a body dead, but that's just the body. There's an impenetrable, imperishable self here, isn't there? I am not that which changes, meaning I am not thoughts. Why? How do I know? Because they change. And how do I know that they change? Because I observe them. Emotions are temporary, they change. How do I know that? Because I observe the changeful nature, the impermanence of them. This body changes. I was a little boy once, and now I'm an idiot. You're a big idiot, right? How do I know that? Because I observe the change of my body. But that which observes the changing, has that ever changed? The answer is no. I, that which I am, before I, has never changed, and therefore cannot die. Why? Because to be of this world, it must change. We observe it everywhere, don't we? Everything changes here. Does this change? No. And therefore we know that this cannot be of this world. It's in it, but it's not of it. So the final reason why it's so hard to change, let's say we have a tendency that we're not proud of. For me, it was drinking for a long, long, long time, right? And so what the universe will do when it comes, sorry for the long pause there, I had to formulate my sentence. What the universe will do is when you say, I'm going to quit drinking, or put your life into here, I'm going to quit eating McDonald's Big Macs, or I'm going to go on a diet, etc., etc. And I've been in all of these places. Don't get me wrong, I'm not, I'm no different than you. Then the universe will test you all of the way. As soon as you say, I'm never going to do that thing again, the universe will almost instantaneously, or at least very soon, bring it to you to test that. And sometimes it will feel a little bit unfair. It's like, whoa, it's like I can't ever get out of this. But that's a little bit insincere, isn't it? Because then we're blaming the universe for bringing said thing to me, when really my choice can be, no, I don't want it. Isn't it? The universe can bring you something and you can use your discretion to say no still. And so that's why it's so hard to change, because guaranteed the universe or the life or God will test you all the way, just to make sure that you really are done, like you're saying that you're done with said thing or said tendency that you do. Now that felt good, didn't it? I like this video. I hope it helps you, and have yourself a great evening. Namaste.